So, what's the deal with Polkadot? Is it a dead project or is it just a sleeping giant? That's what we're going to dig into. We're talking about one of the absolute biggest stars from the last crypto bull run, a project that seems to have just vanished from the conversation. So, what's really going on here? You know how it is right now. All the talk is about meme coins, the newest layer 2s, anything that's flashy and can grab a headline. And meanwhile, Polkadot, a former heavyweight champion, has just been sitting quietly on the sidelines. So the question is this the end for DOT? Or is this just the quiet before the storm? And I mean, just look at the difference. It's kind of wild. Back in 2021, Polkadot was a top 10 project, no question. The token, DOT, was rocketing up to almost 55 bucks. And now, it's completely off the radar, with the token hovering around, what, $4? So how did we get here? Well, to figure that out, we gotta go back a bit.
All right, let's talk about why Polkadot was such a big deal in the first place. This thing was one of the most hyped projects in all of crypto, and for good reason. It came out of the gate with this huge, ambitious idea to be the Internet of blockchains.
And it had some serious credibility from day one. I mean, its founder is Gavin Wood. If that name sounds familiar, it should. He's one of the original co-founders of Ethereum. And oh yeah, he also invented Solidity, the programming language that basically runs most of the crypto world. So yeah, that kind of background, it gives you a massive head start. The whole concept was built on this idea of a layer 0. Think of it like a foundational hub, right? And then all these other blockchains, which they called parachains, could just plug right in. The genius of it was that they could all talk to each other and, even better, share security from the main Polkadot chain. This was a huge deal for solving those big problems of interoperability and scaling. And boy, did that vision get people excited. And when people get excited, they bring money. At the absolute height of the hype, Polkadot's market cap soared to over $50 billion. Yeah, billion with a B. And of course, you saw that hype reflected in the token price. A single DOT token shot up to almost 55 bucks, as projects were literally fighting each other in auctions just to get a spot on the network. For a hot minute, it really felt like Polkadot was unstoppable. But then, well, you know how this story goes. The market turned, the music stopped, and the hype just evaporated. Okay, but this is where things start to get really interesting. See, a quiet price chart doesn't mean a project is dead. Not even close. If you can tune out all the noise and just look at what the developers are actually building, you start to see some pretty compelling clues. Probably the single biggest deal is the evolution to Polkadot 2.0. The old system where projects had to win these super expensive, rigid auctions for a parachain slot, it was a huge roadblock. The new model is called core time, and it's a total game changer. Basically, projects can now just buy the block space or execution time they need whenever they need it. This makes the whole network so much more open and accessible for everyone. And because of changes like that, we're starting to see real growth in some pretty cool areas. And not just the usual DeFi stuff. We're talking about real-world assets, gaming, even AI infrastructure being built on Polkadot. And get this, on top of all that, the network has switched over to something called OpenGov, which is one of the most truly decentralized governance models out there. The community is literally in the driver's seat. Long story short, they're actually fixing the things that were holding them back. All right, so the fundamentals are looking solid. They're building in the background. But what about the charts? What is the actual price telling us? Let's switch gears and dig into the technicals. You know, one analyst we looked at put it perfectly. No BS charts. And when you do that, when you just look at the raw price action, a really interesting pattern starts to emerge, one that has a lot of traders paying very close attention. So here's the key thing to keep your eyes on. There's this really clear downtrend line that connects all the recent highs. The price has bumped its head on this line again and again and again, but hasn't broken through yet. And in trading, the more you knock on a door, the more likely it is to eventually swing open. And that brings us to a magic number, so to speak. The level that analysts are lasered in on is $4.22. A solid, confirmed break above that price? Well, that could be to signal that this long, painful downtrend is finally done, and a new bull phase is about to start. But hey, we gotta be realistic, right? You always have to look at the other side of the coin. What happens if it doesn't break out? What if the price starts to fall? Well, luckily, there's also a pretty clear support level that's been acting as a solid floor. So let's talk about that downside risk. That key line in the sand, our main line of defense, is sitting right around $2.83. If you look back, Every single time the price has tagged this level, it's bounced hard. So that is absolutely the level that has to hold. It's critical. Okay, so the picture is becoming super clear, isn't it? We've got this massive potential breakout looming above and this rock-solid support level down below. Let's put it all together and lay out the two most likely scenarios. So let's start with the bull case. If we get that clean break above 422, the first stop on the way up would be about 540. Get through that, and 650 is the next target. And if we get a real full-blown altcoin season, some analysts are looking way, way higher, talking $25, even $35 or more. Now for the bear case, what happens? Well, it fails to break out, the price rolls over, and it goes back down to test that support around 280. Then it probably just chops sideways for a while longer, unable to grab the attention of new investors. And really, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Polkadot is the textbook definition of a sleeper right now. It's not pumping on Twitter, it's not the coin of the week, it's just quiet. But while everyone's distracted, the real work is getting done behind the scenes. The foundation is being built. You know, it feels like we've seen this play out before, right? Think about Cardano back in 2020. Everyone wrote it off, said it was dead, and then it went on an absolutely monstrous run. Or what about Solana after FTX blew up? It was left for dead. People were calling it a ghost chain, and then it staged one of the most insane comebacks we've ever seen. It's not crazy to think Polkadot could be tracing that exact same path. So what's the takeaway here? The fundamental work is done. The tech is getting better, the community's in control, and that price chart looks like a coiled spring ready for a huge move. The only real question left is, what's it going to take? What's the catalyst that's finally going to wake this sleeping giant?